Hi, Kevin.
Hello, Ciara.
How are you doing?
I'm doing well.
Yeah. You look cozy.
I feel like I should be hunting bears right now. I saw myself in the old camera.
Yeah.
And with the fur coat and the beard, I feel like, I should be like wrestling bears or tracking them. Or maybe like recovering from a bear fight by a riverbank in the snow.
Is this how you think bear hunters dress?
Yeah, obviously. This is how bear hunters dress. If there are any bear hunters in the audience, go ahead and write us and let us know if you dress like this. If you wear black fur coats. Because, I mean, obviously you do. I already know this. But Ciara doesn't believe me.
So this is not technically our first time doing video, but this is our first time attempting to just do like a regular podcast video. We did like a special one with Julian.
I wasn't in that one, though, so it's my first video.
Oh, yeah. I guess you were on the other side, weren't you?
I was off camera. I was behind the scenes.
Yeah. And I tried to get us to video the last few times.
Not the last time. I was ready last time.
But you were deeply insecure.
Mm-hmm.
And I got to say, you don't look any different than you did the day that you didn't want to record video.
I haven't.
You actually look exactly the same with the coat and everything.
I haven't prepared any differently. I just decided I don't care anymore.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's a good attitude.
Maybe
to
not
have.
anymore. Maybe I just don't care now. Like I might care again tomorrow. But I haven't cared for like a week and a half.
I saw on Twitter there was like, it looked like just a tiny little 2-second snippet from an infomercial. And it was this woman and she was standing on like an oriental rug. And she had a glass of wine and she just like pours it. And she says, "I'm not even worried about this." And the caption was, "I don't know what this is advertising, but this is a good attitude to have."
I can get behind that.
Yeah. I don't even care about this. I feel like that's the attitude you have right now.
Yeah. Yeah. Your story was pretty anticlimactic, I just want to say.
It wasn't really a story. It was
going to
just
be funny.
Something I saw on Twitter.
Anyway, yeah, that is my attitude because, just relax, man. It's a very dude-tude.
Mm-hmm.
You know, there's a Big Lebowski religion. It's called
I believe
Dudeism.
That. Where did it originate?
I don't know. The internet. It's nice because I'm in this
it's
Dudeism.
Very anticlimactic.
I'm in this Dudeism Facebook group, and sometimes people post in there like serious shit, like heavy stuff, like bad things happen to them, and they're seeking support from other dudes.
Wow.
And it's really nice because people are very supportive, and they're like they speak in quotes from The Big Lebowski. I can't think of any at the moment, but they'll just encourage each other just to relax, just be very dude.
I
Don't
suppose
be
like
undude.
anything that someone like says in the forum, like, "Oh my God, like my wife doesn't love me anymore," or "I really suck at my job," or I'm just so ugly. People can be like, "Well, that's just like your opinion, man."
Yeah, it applies.
Yeah.
It's a very stoic disposition and attitude, I think.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Yeah, because I mean that's his whole thing is he's just really relaxed and doesn't usually get upset. He's got a good perspective on stuff. The dude.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah.
I haven't seen that movie in a while.
Yeah, it's been a while for me too. It's a great movie. It's a bit convoluted. Plot-wise. So? Yeah, I even heard the Coen brothers talk about that once. They were saying, like, I don't know if they were saying it was deliberate or not, but yeah, they're kind of basing it on like a noir detective story structure, but it just kind of got like really circuitous and confusing, and like by the end of it, I don't think anybody really even is following the exact plot.
Well, what is the exact plot? These like nihilists come in, pee on this guy's rug, and then there's a rich guy.
Yeah, so they mistake Jeff Bridges' character for the Big Lebowski. He's actually not the Big Lebowski. He's the Little Lebowski. Mm. The Big Lebowski was a different guy with the same name who was rich, and his trophy wife had run up a bunch of debt with nihilists or something, or they like kidnap her for ransom.
That's right. They send in the tow.
Yeah, but they get the two Lebowskis mixed up, and they're like trying to ransom this rich guy's wife to the dude who's just this stoner hippie, and that's basically the setup of the film.
Yeah, my movie used me one of the like alternate storylines because by the way, if you guys don't know, it was not a real documentary. But anyways, I know this doesn't really spoil anything because it's more like spoiling a story that could have been, but we had a lot of different like storylines and directions we would have potentially gone in. And one was that my kidnapper, when he kidnapped me, destroyed my foot, which
destroyed it.
Yeah, there was like, okay, so there's like this scene where I'm kidnapped and he takes a brick and just starts smashing my foot. And this is kind of like a little interesting behind the scenes. So we had a woman come in for one job. Like she was like a special effects person. And we paid her just for that day for one job, which was to make it look like blood was pouring out of my foot as Joe Reitman, the actor who kidnapped me, was bashing it with a foam brick, but it was supposed to obviously look like a real brick. So like she got like this little hose thing and a little bag
Wouldn't
of
it be
blood.
funny if she just came in with a knife and just sliced your foot open? There you go.
Yeah, it'd be pretty
It looks
fucked
like
up.
it's pouring blood.
So yeah, she had this whole contraption where it had like a bag of blood and like a pump and then a little straw that kind of, or a tube that went through my pant leg and my socks and stuff, so that when he was bashing it, she kind of just pumped the blood through and it started bleeding. Anyways, we decided to axe that because even though she did a great job, like it just looked fake. It wasn't really the blood. It was more just like my foot maintained its shape, even though he was supposedly smashing it and breaking it with a brick. And so we axed that. But also in the back of my mind, I was just thinking like, this is a little too Big Lebowski. Like, I feel like people are going to like make that reference that like, oh, I fucked up my foot.
Really?
Yeah, that's what I kept thinking of.
Interesting.
And I thought, I never really told it to Julian because it never really came to fruition anyways, but that was always in the back of my mind where like, I felt like it kind of made it a little silly. Like it took away from the seriousness of it because for that reason, I think it just really reminded me of Big Lebowski.
Weird.
Yeah.
I wouldn't have made that connection.
Really?
Yeah, because I mean, he
Well, like I had, okay, so the story was like he fucked up my foot so bad that I had to get my toes amputated.
Oh. Well, that's just too much story around a foot beating, you know? Like, just beat the foot and then that's that. You don't need, follow-up. Like, oh, what happened then with the toes? Are they okay?
Well, the idea was, like, that was my moneymaker. So that was, like, raising the stakes where, like, I couldn't make foot fetish videos anymore.
Oh, that makes a little more sense.
Yeah.
You probably have to spell that out, though, since I didn't get it.
No, I'm sorry. I thought that was assumed. But, yeah, that was one of the story plots. And, yeah, I'm just glad it didn't because, like, I don't know, like, the whole like, oh, I can't make foot videos anymore, like it seemed a bit silly. Like, I don't know, what do you think? Doesn't that sound a little silly? I just think fetishes are kind of funny, you know. So like,
it kind of just depends on how it's done, really. It's always about the execution.
Yeah,
I think. I mean, I can't think of any plot devices that are necessarily bad, you know.
Well, I also think it was maybe like, so another plot we had was that, and this was sort of in the movie, where Julian spends all of the money we make on Kickstarter in Vegas. And that was just like kind of a small detail in the movie. What we were thinking of doing was making it this whole plot point where like, not only was that Kickstarter money, but this was like private investor money from like a celebrity, important person investor. And he spent it all and oh shit, like we spent all the money type thing. But when we tested that idea, we found like people didn't like it because people didn't care about some white boy director's, you know, movie problems. Like it just didn't seem very relatable. It didn't really seem like no one really cared about that problem. And in the same way, I could see people not really caring about my spoiled, like rich girl. Like I have this easy job where I just show my feet and oh no, it's taken away from me. Like I don't think people would really care or be like invested in that.
Yeah, I think the kidnapping is more urgent and simple, you know. It doesn't really require a lot of judgment because, you know, that's the kind of thing people would care about by default.
Yeah.
Like the whole threatening you with death thing.
Right.
You know?
Holding me ransom.
Yeah. Yeah, the foot thing would probably just be making people think too much, you know.
Yeah. I think it would just kind of come across as a little silly.
Yeah, I could see that.
Because, I mean, I don't know. It's just like when I tell people my job, like most people's like reaction is to make jokes about it. Not like in a mean way, but just like, ooh, you're taking off your shoes. I don't know. Just like,
really?
Yeah. Sorry, that was like a bad example. But like, I don't know. Just people like are like, they want to make stupid jokes about what I do, which is fine. Like I'm not like insulted by it or anything, but I just think my job is funny to people that can't relate to it.
Yeah, I mean, it is kind of funny anyway.
Yeah.
Some of it.
It is.
Yeah. So, some of the fetishes people have are pretty funny.
Yeah. You know what I
say
heard
funny
recently?
in a non-judgmental way because, I mean, everybody's got their thing, I guess.
Yeah.
What'd you hear?
That, and I meant to look into this before I brought it up, but I feel like it's being brought up anyways. Apparently, there's a catfish fetish.
Really?
Yeah.
Like being catfished?
Mm-hmm.
Interesting.
Yeah, one of our listeners wrote in and wanted us to talk about it. I haven't looked into it at all, so there you go with that. But like, we can kind of
speculate
imagine.
wildly.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
We do a lot of that.
Yeah,
this
so
show
might as
a
well.
lot of time. Like our last episode, that was just like, here's everything we don't know about geography.
Yeah. So it kind of makes sense because, I mean, if you can like accept by fiat that like people get turned on by humiliation, well, there you go. It's humiliating to be catfished by someone.
Because you've been tricked.
Yeah.
Tricked into liking somebody.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah, we're done with that one, I think.
Yeah.
So, like, I wonder if it's I wonder how the actual, like, logistically how that works. Because, I mean, if they're doing, like, a role play thing, then, of course, they would know that they're being catfished, and then really they're not being catfished. It's just role play.
Right.
So then, like, I wonder how long this goes on, or if the payoff is, like, the big reveal, like, haha, I tricked you, or if the payoff is just, like, pretending to be manipulated.
My guess is that because this seems to be pretty new, I feel like I would have heard about it by now if it was like kind of something that's been fetishized for a while, or I don't know, maybe it's just like kind of coming into light. But I imagine if I was someone that got off on that, it wouldn't be so much that I'd find someone to role play as I would maybe look for someone who was obviously fake.
Okay.
And interact with them.
Yeah.
And like if you rub two brain cells together, it's not too hard to like figure out who's fake. Guys are pretty dumb. Well, I mean, if they're obviously fake, and there are a lot of obviously fake people. For instance, I have someone who's like scamming me right now on Twitter. So my Twitter name is Ciara_Lynch, and this person's username is Ciara__Lynch. So it looks a lot like mine, and I actually went on a different name to talk to him over DM to see what he was doing. I'm just assuming it's a guy. And yeah, he's trying to sell like Skype shows, and like he's really legitimately scanning people pretending to be me. But like if you look at the follower count and you look at his tweets, like just a little bit of research can tell you that that's not me. So if I had a catfish fetish, I might like recognize that and kind of suspend my disbelief for a minute and go along with that.
Interesting. Yeah. I think for me it raises questions about like when somebody's engaging in some kind of kinky role play or whatever. I'm sure there's a lot of variation in people in terms of like what spoils it for them. So like if they know they're being catfished, I'm sure some people with this fetish don't want to know, which probably makes it really difficult to execute on this.
It's kind of like the
fantasy.
blackmail fetish. Because like, there's guys that get off on being blackmailed, and it's probably a tricky fetish because like it's one of those things that you want when you're horny and you don't want when you're not horny, which is all things for men.
Pretty much, yeah, with few exceptions.
Yeah, and so like to have like such a destructive fetish, like it seems hot when you're horny, and then when you're not, you don't really want to be blackmailed. You don't really want someone like threatening to tell your wife that you're spending a bunch of money. So then maybe the safer, responsible thing to do is just to find like a dominatrix who will role play. But then for a lot of them, like they know it's role play, so it doesn't feel real, so it's not as hot. Yeah.
So like deliberately being catfished when you know you're being catfished, maybe wouldn't be as fun.
Yeah.
So then I wonder if they just like imagine, like they're just talking to real people and they're like imagining like, oh, I bet this is a trick.
So
like jacking off. But it's not. Yeah, I don't know. There's just endless permutations of kink and fetishism. I'm sure that every variation of that is somebody's preferred and least preferred, version.
So you're gonna open up an OnlyFans account, Kevin?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dick pics for sale.
But surprise, you don't have a dick.
$1,000. $1,000 each. Yeah, maybe if there's anybody who has a fetish for like thinking they're paying $1,000 for a dick pic and then not getting it.
Well, that's a rip-off fetish.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
That'll be my specialty.
How do those rip-off clips?
Kind of like the naked philanthropist.
Yeah.
Maybe she was catering to the rip-off fetishists.
Wow. She's actually, we underestimated her.
Yeah,
she's a
brilliant.
Smart lady.
Yeah, God. So she posted about how she wants to be somebody's sugar mama or sugar mammy, I think she said. I can't remember. But she specified that no cisgendered straight men are allowed. Everyone else is welcome, though. Does that strike you as bigotry?
It strikes me as pandering.
And bigotry. Bigoted pandering.
Oh, you know what she did?
What'd she do now?
Yeah. Okay, so you know how when she first blew up, we talked about how there are some people like accusing her of racism because she wore an Eskimo costume for Halloween one year, sexy Eskimo costume. And one tweet, she used the N-word, but with an A at the end, and she was just trying to sound cool. Like, you could tell, you know,
Sure.
She wasn't saying anything. She wasn't insulting black people. She was just trying to look cool. Which you can argue whether that's right or wrong, but I don't think her intention was bad. What was I going with that? Okay, so she, you know, got on the defensive of that and was just like, I'm not racist, blah, blah, and kind of had a meltdown over it. And then it kind of blew over like everything does. And I kind of see her now, like, making posts about racism, like I feel like she's like trying to kind of clear her name. But she posted something recently. Okay, so there was a newscaster who was reporting on Kobe Bryant's death. And she was trying to say that he was a basketball player in the Los Angeles Lakers. But she got tongue-tied, and she almost said Knicks. So she said something across between Knicks and Lakers.
Yikes. Yeah.
Yeah, and it sounded very bad, right? And everyone's like freaked out about it. And, you know, she made a report saying like, oh my God, like I was mixing up these two words. I know it sounds bad. I would never use that word, you know, in that way. And like so many people are commenting like this was not an accident.
Oh my God.
Which like, are you fucking kidding me? Like, what is she getting out of that? Like, oh yeah, I just want to ruin my career.
Just to jab at the blacks.
So
that'll show them. Just destroy my public image and lose my income.
Right. But anyways, Naked Philanthropist tweeted about it saying, oh my God, this is unexcusable. Meaning what she said was unexcusable. That's like, really, bitch? Because you just went through this exact same thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it sounds like she's trying to she's like overcorrecting.
Yeah,
you know?
overcompensating.
God. It's just so hard to imagine anybody taking that seriously.
Yeah.
Just somebody just got tongue-tied and said something that vaguely resembled a racial slur.
It's kind of crazy because like if you don't realize that's like what she was mixing up, it really sounds like she says the N-word. It's kind of like that Laurel Yanny thing,
yeah,
you know?
God.
But then once you realize that's what she was doing, you listen to it again and you're like, oh, okay, yes, that makes sense. And it totally makes sense. She mixed up two basketball teams.
That's a weird phenomenon, by the way. You can like with those sorts of ambiguous things, you can totally hear something that you're trying to hear. Like if you think that somebody's saying a certain thing. Like the first time I noticed this when I was like 11, I was listening to Rancid and some Rancid song. I can't remember which one. They say some lyric that sounds like some other lyric, and everybody just kind of thought it was what it sounded like. But then I was reading the lyrics that came with the CD, and I realized it was something totally different. And then I would just like play it on repeat, and I could hear either one depending on which one I was expecting to hear. So I could just like plan which one I would hear, but it was just as real as if I didn't know. You know,
right.
It's a weird thing.
Yeah,
I don't know what's up with that.
So people hear what they want to hear.
Yeah,
basically.
Yeah, and it's funny because like this is like we know that people interpret things the way they want to interpret them, or the way that they're inclined to interpret them, whether they want to or not. But then also like when it comes down to actually like the actual sounds coming out of the speaker,
yeah,
that can change. You know, which is it's very strange.
Our brains are so flawed.
Yeah. Sometimes I just think about like how much are we missing? You know, because we only perceive a small sliver of the stuff in the world because our senses don't really allow for a lot of things. Like the visual spectrum, you know, we see just a little bit of it. There's a lot of colors and other stuff that we can't see. The electromagnetic spectrum, I don't think, well, I guess light is part of that, but magnetism is something that we can't feel. Mm-hmm. You know, that's a whole sense that we could have that we don't. Echolocation that we talked about before, that bats do and lots of other animals.
Dolphins.
Yeah, we can't do that. I mean, to some extent we can actually. You know, you can
What?
sort of detect where something is based on sounds around you, but not at all like they do. So it'd be more like, I guess, vision in the sense that we get a little taste of it. But there's so much that we just can't access. You know.
Yeah, speaking of people misinterpreting other people, our favorite tweeter, Aya Girl, recently was asking. So this is a girl on Twitter who is kind of known for she does like research, and she's known for asking like uncomfortable questions to kind of get at the root of just sort of maybe a little more controversial topics. But she's very like technical about everything, very objective. Like she's like very unemotional, and she just like, I think she looks at things very like plainly, you know, and straightforward. And she was asking the question about bestiality and was trying to like understand how did bestiality become a cultural taboo. And, you know, some people, well, usually if you ask people like, why can't you have sex with animals besides it just being gross, like people be like, well, animals can't consent. And so I was like, all right, fair enough. But like, you know, 100 years ago, consent really wasn't that big a deal. Like you could just rape your wife and that was fine. So, you know, why was that okay? But still, you know, sex with animals was considered taboo. So she's trying to ask this question of like, how did this originate and where did it come from? And so it went viral because so many people were interpreting it as, I just want to fuck my dog.
Oh man, those people are out there too. I saw some accounts last year or so that they seemed to be openly pro zoophilia, and I couldn't tell quite if they were trolls or not. I would expect it's a mix, you know, because I wouldn't be at all surprised if there are people who genuinely think that it's totally cool just to fuck animals. But then I also wouldn't be surprised if a lot of them are pretending because they think it's funny.
Yeah.
But, you know, you raise a point. We've talked about this before. This has come up a few times, why it's wrong to fuck animals. Yeah. I think that, you know, to say that they can't consent is
debatable.
It's debatable. Because, I mean, I've been humped by dogs, you know.
Right.
If that's not consent, like I'm the one not consenting in that scenario, they are definitely consenting to fucking my leg.
Yeah.
Right? So maybe it would be more accurate to say that they can't be informed, so they can't have informed consent. But then informed about what exactly? There's no risk of pregnancy. I imagine STDs are a risk, but like what exactly are the facts?
Are they going to be psychologically traumatized in a couple years when they realize what happened?
Right. Yeah, probably not. Yeah. So I mean, I think I would agree that we shouldn't fuck animals just in principle, but I'm not entirely clear about why. Yeah. And I think there is a difference between forcibly having sex with an animal and just like not forcing it on the animal. Either way,
being penetrated versus penetrating.
Well, yeah, that too. But I mean,
well, if something is penetrating you, you can assume that they want it.
That's a good point. Yeah. That's pretty much across the board. Yeah, like, you're not raping that animal
if you're just lying there.
Right. Yeah.
Gross.
Yeah. I guess it's an interesting question. I haven't followed that thread, but it is interesting, I guess, to ask like where that taboo comes from. But
well, speaking of sexy animals,
yeah.
For those just listening, my cat is coming up to say hello.
She's so cow-shaped and cow-colored.
Yeah.
Especially from that angle. It looks like a cow cat with no tail.
Cat talk.
But cat talk. I forgot about cat talk. What was I saying?
Oh, about bestiality being gross.
Right. Yeah, I do. I guess I was she saying that it was not always a taboo?
No, she was saying that consent isn't, whether or not there's consent isn't really a good explanation as to why it's wrong, because a long time ago it was wrong to fuck animals, but consent wasn't a big deal then. So it's not like back then you know, I don't know, in the 1800s, if you ask someone like, why shouldn't you have sex with animals? They'd be like, well, they can't consent. They wouldn't say that.
No, they probably would just say that it's like dirty.
Gross. Yeah.
Yeah. Cleanliness seems to be a comment. She's trying to get the door open. She's distracting the hell out of me. It's so cute.
Should I open the door?
Yeah. It's so funny because usually she just goes around.
Oh, yeah.
But now that we're recording, she's like, help me. I can't get through. Remember when I first started closing that door, you were concerned that she was going to get lost. And she kind of was at first. She would find the door closed and just start meowing mindlessly, like, help, how will I ever make it to the kitchen? And she figured it out.
She doesn't like closed doors.
Yeah. She really needs a lot of loving.
Yeah. Or just to be around people.
Yeah. Although she just left through that closed door.
Yeah, because she's going to go eat.
Yeah. Well, food is a substitute for affection.
Yeah.
In animals and in humans. So
that makes a lot of sense for her.
Yeah.
She's not around people. She just goes to food.
Yeah. God, she got me thinking about conditioned habits, like conditioned reactions and triggers and stuff. Because I've noticed something where almost any time she and I are in the living room and I get up, she'll get up and go to the food bowl and wait for food. But sometimes she does that when there's already food there and she's not hungry. Like, she's already eaten. She's full. She didn't want what was left. But then I get up and she's like, oh, fuck, it's eating time. And she'll go and then she kind of gets confused because she's like, oh, there's already food. And then I can see her kind of questioning her identity and her motivations. But she's a dumb cat, so it doesn't get very far. And then she usually will either eat what's there that she didn't want anyway or just walk away and then get up again next time I stand up.
Well, you said it kind of well earlier that she just likes the ritual.
Yeah, I don't think it's that she likes it. I think it's that it's like Pavlovian conditioning.
Right.
Where like, oh, standing up means I get to eat. But like, you're not hungry, idiot. You already have food that you left.
She's so dumb.
Yeah. But it makes me wonder too, like, in some ways, like, we know cats are stupid. Like, animals are relatively stupid by and large compared to humans. But I feel like often we also kind of, or at least I often think of them as superior in some ways, like not quite as stupid in some of the abstract and elaborate ways that humans are. So it's almost like I was a little surprised that she was that kind of stupid, because that seems like something a human would do, like develop an addiction to a substance based on an unconscious trigger. It just seems like it would be above animals,
Yeah, no. Well, I mean, animals just respond to food. I mean, I have chickens in my backyard, and if there's like one thing they respond to, it's food.
Yeah, but this wasn't even food. This is me standing up 3 rooms away from food.
Also, I gotta say, like, with cats and dogs, there are some that are clearly smarter than others.
Oh, yeah,
and I
for
think
sure.
Kimiko is just a particularly dumb cat.
You think so?
Kinda, yeah. She's sweet. Like, I love her to death. She's like such a kind, like, loving little cat, but she's pretty dumb. Even for a cat.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I guess. I never really thought about it. It's hard to tell the difference.
I can't quite put my finger on it, but I just know in the past, because I grew up with cats, and there would be some cats I'd have that, like, yeah, this cat is smart, and like I've never thought that about Kimiko.
No. I don't know if I've ever thought that about any cat. I have thought some cats are especially dumb. Like, I used to have a cat, June, who she would, like, her favorite position to sleep was on her back with her arms and legs stretched out. Mm-hmm. And that just seemed really dumb. And I don't know why. Maybe it wasn't all that dumb, but it's almost like she didn't know how to lie. So she's just like, And we would mess around with her and like stack things on her. Just like put objects on her.
She wouldn't move?
No. She would just stay there. She's like, it's fine. I'm sleeping. And then the thing that cats do when they'll like run on like a window? She'll just like with their paws.
Yeah, it's like they're trying to get in or out.
She would do that for fucking hours on end. And that just seemed extra dumb too. Although maybe not. Maybe she's extra smart. She's staying fit,
Yeah, like a hamster on a wheel.
Healthy. Yeah. She ate tinsel from the Christmas tree, and then she pooped it out, and then she would just have like a strand of silver sprinkles coming out of her ass, sparkly silver. We'd have to put on gloves and yank it out. That was a whole ordeal every year. Yeah,
my ex-boyfriend's cat got through the garbage one time and ate some dental floss and then pooped, and there was like this like piece of poop dangling from its butt on a floss string. It was like running around, like wouldn't want you to touch him.
Oh God, that's so gross. I wonder what would make a cat eat something like floss or tinsel. It's got no flavor. Well, I guess floss could be mint.
Grass. I wonder if
but that's a vegetable. You know?
I understand, but like
tinsel.
Maybe just because it's like the same consistency. I don't know.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, I'll buy that. It is kind of like a plant. It's like a weed or something. It's similar. And floss is flavored, I guess. Often it's mint. So maybe cats like mint.
Maybe, I don't know. Some cats will just try and eat anything.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a fair point. They'll.
Our cats are pretty picky.
Yeah, Kimiko tries to eat me sometimes. I mean, like I have to be careful when I let her lick me because I know it's just a matter of time before she'll like try to bite. Like
I don't think she's trying to eat you though.
I don't know. It's just testing the waters, like, will this work? Can I eat
like
this?
A shark, just a little curiosity bite.
Yeah.
Well, I've heard when cats spontaneously bite you or claw you when like they're acting like cats, you'll pet a cat and they'll be like purr purr purr, and all of a sudden they'll be like arr, and they'll just like grab you. And I've heard that's because they're just very particular about being touched, and so if they do that, you've accidentally touched them in the wrong way.
Bad touch.
Yeah, even if it seems like you've just been doing the same thing this whole time. But that doesn't really make sense with Kimiko because you're right. She'll just be lying there licking you, and you're not even touching her.
Yeah,
and
I'm
then
not
all of a
even
sudden
moving.
she'll just bite.
Yeah. It seems like it depends a lot on the shape of the thing. Like I used to let her lick my earlobe just like any other part of me, usually when I'm asleep. But then I would notice like she would always bite my earlobe after like 3 or 4 licks. And like a finger, she would do that. But if it's just like the back of my wrist or something, she never tries to bite that. And I think it's because like she can't really because it's a flat surface. Like how you can't even get it in her mouth. So I guess anything that could potentially go in her mouth, she'll eventually try to bite. see, like, is this food? I don't, that's kind of rude. It's a little hurtful because that's part of me, cat. Even if you could eat it, I don't think you should. I think that's inconsiderate.
Do you think maybe she's playing?
Potentially. Yeah, that could be. Yeah, because cats, they like to play rough, but they have knives on the ends of their fingers.
Yeah, that's weird.
Yeah, even just like little shifts you can get skewered. I don't know how people like you play with cats rough. That shit just freaks me out. Like if I just feel a claw, I'm out of there.
Yeah, I'm so used to cats. Like I said, I grew up with them. So.
I did too. I grew up with cats,
right.
but I don't let them bite
I'm
me and
just
chew on me.
tougher than you.
Yeah, I guess so. You're just tough. Yeah, there are definitely some animals smarter than others. I remember years ago I wanted to get a dog, and I was thinking I should get like a smart dog because it would be fun to train it and to learn dog psychology and communicate with it, and play games and stuff in ways that only a smart dog could do. But then I was reading about it, and I read that smart dogs require extra attention. They have to be stimulated, otherwise they go crazy. Just like a human, like if you put it in solitary, like it's the same kind of thing. They'll go nuts. And a dog, if it's smart and you leave it alone for too long, it'll just freak out and tear up your house, and it'll actually have psychological damage and also destroy your property. And I was thinking, well, I don't want a dog that I have to pay that much attention to. But I don't want a dumb dog. So then I thought maybe I just need a cat, really. And I didn't get anything because I get too sad when they die.
Yeah, it is sad.
I wanted a Pomeranian.
They are so cute.
They're fucking adorable.
Yeah.
The way that their legs, like, they're just like sticks. Like their joints don't bend at all. They're just like...
Just a little fur ball with stick legs.
Yeah, like a points.
And then their nose and their eyes and their mouth are all close together.
Yeah.
Which, if you look at like the...
Ewoks.
Well, I was just thinking cute things in general. It's like what makes things cute. That is one of the biggest things is like when their nose and eyes and mouth are all close together. Like babies, that's all kind of closer in their face. And as you get older, it spreads out.
Interesting. I wonder, I guess maybe that's why it seems cute because of babies, because of human babies. Like we're conditioned to think human babies are cute. So anything that shares that trait. I was thinking it could also be something like you don't see a lot of dangerous predators that have like that little smushed feature face. Like a dangerous predator has a snout and like a big mouth with fangs that points, and it's got hinges so it can establish like powerful gripping shits.
Yeah.
And you can't do that with a little flat scrunched up face,
Yeah.
But it could also just be the baby thing because
what I always question is like, cute. And maybe this is just my subjective mind, but like, okay, it makes sense that like things like babies need to be cute so that we take care of them, which is shallow, but okay. But then my question is like, why are human babies the ugliest form of babies? Like, I think baby animals are so much more cuter, but that might just be me.
No, I think a lot of people would agree with that. Yeah. Especially stuff like thumb monkeys, or what were those things?
Bush babies?
Bush babies, yeah. Yeah, which are made up. They're not even real.
I think that might just be me or both of us because, like, I mean, you see how other people react to babies and they're like, oh, my God. They, like, fall apart, think they're so cute.
Yeah,
like,
I think babies are cute. But, yeah, I like a Pomeranian puppy or something is, like, so much cuter.
Right. Like, I, like, clench my jaws and fist like they're so cute.
Yeah, you have that thing, that reaction. I've heard about this. I've never had that. People have this reaction to cute stuff where they often want to destroy it. They instinctively want to, like, smash it.
Yeah, I don't know if it's that I want to smash it, but I do like clench my jaws and my hands.
It's so strange.
You wanna get even stranger?
Yes.
I have the same reaction when I see a penis that I like.
Oh, that's right. We've talked about this. I totally forgot. So you think it's cute, maybe?
I don't know. I don't think it's cute, but I have the same like jaw clenching reaction.
It's terrifying.
Yeah, I just want to like.
Everyone
I guess I do want to
beware.
destroy it.
If you see this girl on Tinder, walk the other way.
Sink my fingers into it.
Weird.
Yeah, it's pretty weird.
I mean, maybe just. Yeah, I can't imagine. Do you have any like urge that goes along with it, other than like you want to squeeze it? Apparently.
Yeah, or like bite it.
Bite it. Yeah. That's weird, man. I mean, it's not that weird though. It's not uncommon. I don't know about the penis thing, but definitely with like cute stuff like animals and shit, people often are like, oh.
Well, it's like
that
it's Looney Tunes
aggro
character.
Thing. What?
I will hug him and squeeze him and call him George. Do you know that?
Yeah, vaguely.
Yeah, and it was
also,
like this big monster that would like. Well, no, it would like.
Oh, this was the monster thing.
It was like kind of a reddish.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And it loved little cute things, and it would.
Wait, I think you might be mixing things up.
What am I mixing up?
I think you might be mixing up characters because I remember the monster thing, but I don't remember it loving cute stuff.
Well, the line "I will love him and squeeze him and call him George," right?
Yeah, but I thought maybe that's another character or something.
I might be wrong. I think I'm right though. But yeah, it was this character that would just want to like squeeze things and would squeeze it too tight.
The line I remember from that was always, it was something like, I bet monsters must lead such interesting lives. Because Bugs Bunny had tricked the monster into getting a manicure. He Bugs Bunny pretended to be a woman, I think, and broke out like a nail booth. It was like being an esthetician. He was like washing his fingers and like painting the nails and filing them, and it worked because that monster was stupid.
Man, Bugs Bunny in drag. How about that?
Yeah.
Isn't that funny how all the other characters thought he was so sexy?
Right. I guess rabbits are kind of sexless though to humans. Like if you show me a rabbit and ask me if it's a boy or a girl, no idea. Couldn't tell you.
It's kind of weird how back then like there were a lot of like sexy cartoon characters, which is kind of a weird thing to have as entertainment for kids. I was just thinking I posted a picture on Instagram of me in a latex nurse outfit. And the caption I put was "Hello Nurse," which is from Animaniacs. And then I was like trying to like remember like because I hadn't watched that show in forever. Just that line was in my head. And then like I went and looked it up, and yeah, they just had a sexy nurse character. And Yakko and Wacko was always just like, ugh. And every time she walked by, they drool, and their face would turn into wolf faces, and they'd be like, "Hello, nurse," and like hearts would pump out of their chests, and they were supposed to be kids.
Yeah,
it's kind of bizarre.
That is weird.
Yeah,
I wonder
you don't see that anymore. I don't think you could get away with that.
Yeah, I don't really watch that many cartoons anymore that are like kid cartoons. But yeah, it doesn't seem like that would fly.
Yeah,
I was gonna say at first like, well, maybe these weren't kid cartoons. They're just like cartoons in general. First were like maybe more for adults or something, but now
Animaniacs was for kids.
Yeah, it was a kid's show. Yeah, but I mean, I guess there is like a tradition of kids shows and kids movies having adult humor mixed in, but that's not even that. That's not an innuendo thing. That's just like blatant sex appeal that they're marketing.
Yeah, they had a character that was just purely a sex object.
Yeah. How about Pepe Le Pew? He was pretty rapey.
Totally rapey.
Yeah, that's fucked up.
Yeah, that
just
old
always
French
harassing
skunk.
that girl.
Yeah, you just grab her. She was like trying to get away.
Wasn't the deal like she was a cat that just got like a stripe of white paint on her?
Yeah,
and he
so
was like,
it was a
"Whoa,
skunk."
that is a hot skunk." It's not. It's a cat. Maybe just start banging cats first of all. Like step outside your comfort zone, Pepe. And but yeah. Beyond that, yeah, that was not cool. I mean, maybe rapey is putting it strongly. He certainly was sexually harassing that cat on the daily.
I mean, he would physically grab her and kiss her as she was like clearly trying to get away.
That's assault.
Yeah,
it's not cool. Then again, there's a lot of attempted murder in the old cartoons too.
Yeah,
like the whole Roadrunner and Wile E. Coyote. You know, that shit was violent as hell.
Tom and Jerry.
Is that where like maybe that's probably where the inspiration for Itchy and Scratchy comes from?
Oh yeah,
in The Simpsons.
Yeah.
Except they actually take it to the logical conclusion, which is violence.
Yeah.
Instead of just implied violence where everybody's fine in the end.
Everyone just either turns into like a flat pancake or an
Right.
accordion. Like there's no
Itchy and
blood
scratchy,
or
they're just like slaughtered, tortured to death.
That was a funny show because it
gruesome.
really did just kind of point out how violent they were.
Yeah.
Like it would just be like, oh, the mouse just tore the cat's head off.
Right. Yeah, there's blood spraying everywhere.
That's the entertainment.
Yeah, I've never gotten that into The Simpsons, and it's weird because like I get into a lot of shows, but that's one that just I like it, but it never really like it never sucked me in the way it sucked in a lot of other people, you included, and that's especially noteworthy because you don't like anything. You almost never like a show.
Well, I think I've changed a lot. Like growing up, especially before the internet was really popular, like you entertain yourself with TV. And so like, yeah, as a kid, I would just sit in front of the TV for hours and watch it.
I wonder what I was doing. I don't know how. Maybe there was like some embargo I didn't know about in my house against The Simpsons.
Yeah, that's kind of weird.
Yeah, because I don't remember anything being off limits as a kid on TV because things were relatively censored back then. Like you didn't see violence and stuff on TV. So, and I had the remote, so like I don't know. I guess I just didn't care for it or something. Maybe because it was a cartoon, I never really gave it a chance. When there's like live action to watch, I got Full House, I got Step by Step.
Well, it just seemed kind of odd because I remember like as a kid, like when a new episode came out and you'd watch it, like the next day, like at school, like everyone was like quoting that episode, and so it's like it seems like it would be hard to just kind of miss it because everyone was talking about it.
I don't even remember talking to a single person
Really?
in my entire childhood about The Simpsons.
Weird.
Yeah, how old were you during this era? When people were talking about it at school?
Well, I think like people consider like seasons like 3 through 6, I think, to be the best.
So that would have been like early 90s, though.
Yeah, early to mid-ish.
No, I mean, I think The Simpsons debuted in like 88 or something.
Yeah, I would say like, yeah, elementary school, middle school, and maybe kind of pandered a little, or not pandered, but faded a bit. Tapered a bit in high school.
Yeah.
Like I think South Park was kind of the new thing, and so like people paid more attention to that.
Wow, that long. Damn. That's surprising. I don't know how I missed all this. Maybe.
Well, was South Park like a thing people talked about?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, when South Park came out, that was a big deal. And my little friend circle immediately established South Park night. We would get together and watch it every new episode Wednesdays at like 9, I think. So that was a big deal. Although I kind of grew away from that pretty quickly too, because I just didn't. After a while, it just didn't draw me in as much.
Yeah.
But yeah, The Simpsons. I don't know. We were watching that. What was that? Was that a documentary about The Simpsons? We were watching something about The Simpsons.
Oh.
Or was it just about humor and they had like a
Oh,
segment?
we're watching a YouTube video about
That's
like
right.
what happened to The Simpsons and why it went downhill.
Yeah, that stuff was kind of interesting, but even then watching them deconstruct jokes, I was just like, it's not that funny. Really.
Yeah, the good jokes weren't that funny. Yeah, it might be one of those things that was really funny at the time and it doesn't really hold up now, cuz I do recall trying to watch episodes with you and like even me thinking like this isn't that funny.
Yeah, so
it
I'm
was
right.
hilarious to me at the time.
But I will also say that there's stuff that I do love, but if I watch it with somebody who doesn't like it, I will like it less very often. It's like I see the worst aspects of it through their eyes.
Right.
And then I watch it alone and I love it again.
Or watch it with someone that likes it.
Yeah. So that could have been something like that, but yeah, it's just pretty rare that I'll like laugh out loud at The Simpsons. And I mean, in contrast, like Family Guy, when that came out, good Lord, that was just like a 24/7 marathon. I could not stop watching Family Guy. It's so funny.
Yeah. Yeah, Family Guy was like similar to The Simpsons in that it was a cartoon about a family, but it was like way more edgy.
Yeah, yeah. And there's definitely some jokes I think went too far. Like they were very deliberately insensitive, you could say. And I think, some of that I can't get behind, but that's pretty much true of comedy in general. Like there's no genre or source of comedy or comedian who like everything they say is defensible. But more broadly, I think it's defensible in the abstract, Like defending comedy for the sake of comedy is important to me. Like there was a question on OkCupid, the dating app, where they fucking cat. She wants back in again. Only because we're recording. She's looking right. She is dumb. You're right. You can just tell. She's like, oh, what is this room? You just came from here, idiot. What was I saying? Right. This OkCupid app, it asks these questions to try to match people up based on their values and opinions and stuff. And one of the questions was, is there anything that shouldn't be joked about? And I think, no, there's not. But there's lots of stuff I wouldn't joke about and lots of jokes I wouldn't laugh at. But just in principle, I think it's important that people are able to joke about anything. And I think a lot of people are much braver than I am when it comes to actually doing it, you know, because there's a lot of jokes out there that are cringy, to say the least.
Yeah, and it is a tricky thing. I was just listening to Neil Brennan's podcast, and they were talking about using the N-word in comedy, and specifically white people doing it. And they were being very kind of arbitrary in a way where it's like, oh, this person can get away with it, but this person can't. And really, the only line was like whether it was funny or not, you know? So like Louis C.K. uses the N-word in one of his earlier shows, and like, you know.
He's used it a lot.
Has he?
Yeah.
Oh, I can only think of one particular show, or one particular special. But what was it? Oh yeah. So Louis C.K. has obviously gotten a lot of criticism for other things, but like I've never heard anyone criticize him for using the N-word, which doesn't say that he hasn't been. I'm sure he has. But it's a funny thing because it's like I kind of agree. It's like if it's funny, then like you can get away with it. But I imagine like as a comedian, you have to work out jokes, you know, and you have to take risks. And so it's like, if you just like try something with the intention of being funny and it's not funny, right, and you do something like edgy, then you could just, destroy
it could fail, but it's not like morally more wrong, you know?
Yeah, it shouldn't be.
It's just not as skilled at the delivery. I was listening to a comedy station on Pandora the other day, and there was this guy who just wasn't very funny. And one of his bits opened with like, so are there any Mexicans in the audience? Anybody Mexican? And it was just like silent. And it's like, I love Mexicans. And then he went into some joke about Mexican food and how he grew up in California with a bunch of Mexicans and stuff. But that was an example of like, first of all, that wasn't like an offensive joke. He didn't say anything offensive, but the fact that it was not funny and it was just all about, are there any Mexicans here? You know, it did seem especially like
cringy,
distasteful and cringy. Yeah. But I mean, Louis C.K. is a funny one too, because like I've been aware of that guy for so long, probably like almost 20 years. I've been listening to his stand up, and his early shit was just off the wall disgusting. Like his, I remember one of the first bits I ever heard was just I can't remember the premise or the joke or the punchline, but it was a lot about fucking baby monkeys, like in graphic detail, like having sex with baby monkeys. And it was just disgusting and absurd and really funny. But then to hear like some of his later stuff, it's still edgy by contemporary standards, but compared to that stuff, it just doesn't even hold a candle. Like I heard one of his stand-ups the other day where he was talking about how babies look weird, which is apropos to our conversation. And he was talking about how a lot of babies are born like disfigured too. It was like they're already weird looking, but then also they're disfigured. And then there's Chinese babies. And
wow.
And that was that joke. But then he went on about how, man, that's like the worst thing I've ever said. I can't believe it. It's kind of a relief now knowing that that's the worst thing I'll ever say. And, you know, but I'm just thinking like that's one of the least offensive things he has ever said. Just Chinese babies look weird. Like if you have any idea what kind of shit Louis C.K. has said in the past, that doesn't even rate, you know?
Yeah. Which makes it like kind of funny, crazy how like when his first, stand up after his whole jerking off in front of people controversy, he did like a surprise set somewhere, and then he made a joke about the Parkland shooting kids, and it was a joke about like, why should we listen to these kids just because they're in a shooting, just because they pushed a fat kid out of the way or something like that, or pushed fat kid in the way. And people were just like, oh, that is uncalled for, that is so offensive, like how dare he. And it's like, this is what he does. Yeah, this isn't new.
There were people accusing him of trying to be edgy now just to regain his image. And it's like, no, man. That's what he's been doing for a long time.
His early stuff was just absurdist.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like fucking baby monkeys.
No. Like just absurdist, but like not offensive. Like he has this one bit, like early days, where it's like, it's really not that funny. It's he talks about how he was on the sidewalk on the street and he was eating a peach. And someone waved at he thought someone was waving at him, but then he realized that after he waved back that this person was waving at someone behind him. And so when he waved at him, he had the peach in his hand. And then he got embarrassed when he realized he wasn't being waved at. So instead, he just started saying, I have a peach. And that was the joke. Like, just kind of real absurdist.
Yeah.
But I think, but that's really early. Definitely most of his career, he's been pretty edgy.
Yeah. One of my favorite bits of his was another really old one about being broke and how, like, the bank would call him. Like, you don't have enough money. And he's like, I know. Thanks for calling, I guess.
Right. And then they charge him for not having money.
Yeah. Then he's like, I'm negative 20. I need $20 just to be broke now. Like, you took money from me for not having money.
Yeah.
So if something's free, I can't afford it. Sorry, I have negative $20. So.
Yeah, I remember that bit.
That shit was funny.
And then the fact that, like, people who do have money just get paid in interest. It's like, oh, I see you have money. How about some more money?
Right. Here's some money to go with your money. Yeah, Louis C.K. is a funny dude. We should call that scandal jerking off in front of people gate.
Just rolls right off the tongue.
Yeah. That occurred to me earlier. I too am comedy.
Our battery's about to die, so we better just wrap it up here.
Cool. This has been fun. Audience, let us know if you like our first filmed episode, if you like my bear hunting outfit in particular, and if there are any bear hunters, let me know how this ranks. Okay.
All right. Bye, guys.
Bye.